Hey, what's happening everybody? Luke Darling here. I'm super excited to be able to go over sites and funnels specifically with you here today. We're going to jump in and there's going to be a lot to cover here today. So I'm going to start out with like a broad overview strategy, then jump into some basic kind of like housekeeping in the settings section, and then really get into all the bells and whistles and features of a funnel so you can make sense of things. We'll break down and kind of go through an existing funnel to hopefully help kind of make things make sense. And there's really endless possibilities that can happen here in this space. So really the main thing is to kind of jump in, play around a little bit, you know, adjust things, and it's a learning thing. So there's a lot of stuff that's already ready to go, but at the same time, kind of getting a basic general understanding of things is good, so you know what the possibilities are if you want to get creative and build your own and or modify and adjust things. Or just completely build something from scratch. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in. We're going to talk through some strategy and then housekeeping and then how-tos. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to try to work quickly through here, but also take time to help explain things. So if you need to pause and come back, and please do so. So right here, just for navigational purposes, we are in sites and then we are in funnels right here. So when we click on sites and we click into funnels, in this location right here, there's going to be some pre-made stuff that's already loaded and ready to go. If you have a blank canvas, there's going to be nothing here. In this specific location for this account, we have some templates. And then these are some that are kind of ready to go. So you can kind of jump in and look at this. Now, while we're here, there's a couple things that I'll touch on. You can create a folder. So if you want to organize certain funnels by certain products or whatever it may be, you can do so with that. So you click this. I mean, it's just pretty basic. Create a folder. After you've created a folder, if you want to organize stuff, you click over here and you say move to folder. Now, from here, you can create a brand new funnel, and by clicking here, now you can just start off with a blank slate and type in just a funnel name, whatever it may be, and it will create a funnel in that location. You may or may not have access to template library. If you do, you can click on this right here and then it will open up a bunch of different templates that is pre-built and ready to go. So if you're a real estate agent, there's stuff here, but a lot of really good ideas to pull from if you have access to this. Now, with that being said, there's going to be a folder with a lot. If you're in this location, if you're a client of ours, there's going to be a lot of templates already built in there for you. But I'm going to come over here while we're on this place. So you have your create folder, new funnel, and then the little dots over here. You can edit this, which is going to take you into the main funnel. You can click on there. You can clone it. So you say, hey, I really like this funnel structure. There's 3 pages here. I just want to duplicate this and kind of replace the product. So a great example of that would be like, this one here specifically is like a first-time home buyer guide. Like, hey, I want to put together a seller guide, or I want to put together, a refinance, whatever it may be, right? So you can duplicate that and kind of switch out some of the copy. Everything's there, kind of following along with the same structure, and just change out a few words here and there. You can move these things around so it's organized a little bit different, or move to a folder. So if you want to say, hey, these are all my purchase, or these are all my product A or product B, whatever it may be, you can do so there and move it there. So nice and simple. And then obviously delete. That should be pretty self-explanatory. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in. So that's general broad overview there. I'm going to click in this one, and we'll walk through and talk through this funnel specifically, and hopefully kind of give you touch on as much stuff without getting too overwhelming. Because again, there's a lot of stuff that you can get into here, and we could spend all day digging through this stuff. So anyway, right here, starting from left to right, And we got steps, stats, sales, and settings. Steps are these funnel steps right here. Now each one, generally speaking, how I like to structure things is just in progression in regards to the funnel itself. So you can see over here, this first one is kind of like an opt-in. We're just asking for a name and an email to start off the process. So when you think about a funnel, you're thinking about the the shape of a funnel. We're getting everybody in here, and they're progressively moving down there. So you can see this right here, and as they go down, so you can clone these, you can add in new steps. There's a lot of functionality here. So we'll get into some more of that stuff. Stats. There is, this is where you can see all your stuff, people clicking, and how many page views, opt-ins. If you are selling stuff, it'll have it all here. But this will give you a good idea of, conversion rates and stuff like that. Sales, if you're selling stuff, this is pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing here because it's not an active thing, but it'll show you all the people who bought your stuff if you are selling something. Now, settings, this is probably going to be one of the most useful things while in this portion of it. One of the big things is adding on a domain. Now, if you're a client of ours, we can get you plugged in with like a subdomain. Like if we have something like this where it's like Great Market, it'd be like yourname.greatmarket. If you have your own domain, you can plug in your own domain and use your own domains for your funnels. And that's there's another video that'll link out to, but right here you click on that, it'll direct you to adding in a new domain. This is where we're going to add in any tracking. So if we're adding in Facebook pixel, Google pixel, TikTok pixel, whatever it may be, you can plug it in here. And then we have, if you're running payments, you can turn it on test or live. And then down here, your chat widget. So if you want to have a chat widget on your page, you can turn it on right here. In order to have that live, you just need to make sure it's active up in here. And there's another video based on that stuff too. So with that said, real basic stuff here. We got our domain. This is how you can name the whole funnel and then save it. Now from here, we're going to go back to the step section, and we're going to jump in. A lot of the functionality is going to be the same on each one of the steps. So I'm going to pick this other one here. So you see here's an opt-in. This is where we're getting name and email. And then from there, we're going to want those people to come over to this. They would naturally just go over to this section. That would be the progression there. Now, so while we're here on this view, we have the capacity to clone this funnel step where it's going to take this whole thing that's right here and make another page, and it will do that directly here. You can actually copy it over to other locations. So if you're like a team member or an owner of multiple different locations, you can add them to and roll out to all your locations. You can just duplicate it directly in here. So you're like, hey, I like this. I want to change something, but I don't want to lose all this other work that I had. You can clone it and do it there. So that's pretty basic. Now, in regards to stuff that's functioning here, you can create a variation. So this is for like doing split test. So what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and hit this, create a variation, and I want to duplicate the control, which right now this is going to be the control. So I want to go ahead and just duplicate the control. You can also create a blank or create a variation of it, but in this regard, I want to do let's say I just want to do, I have something, it's working. I want to change a couple things on this one. I'm going to split traffic, 50-50. And this way, anything that comes to this domain that we've set up for it, it'll split off 50-50. And then we can see, the results of that in the stats. So it'll be like, hey, this one's getting twice as many opt-ins, or this one is, this one's performing significantly lower, the change that I made. So let's say, hey, the changes that I made, they didn't outperform the control. We're just going to go ahead and declare this the winner. So this one, by far, the changes that we tested out on this new page, they just shit the bed, and it did not pan out. So we're just going to go back and declare this a winner, and we're off to the races. We can start again, try testing out some other stuff. Now, I'll actually jump in, and I'll open up this one so we can kind of play around with it and give you an idea without disrupting. So this is a great way to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to make edits and changes to this one. But I don't want anything to change. So you're saying, hey, I want, 100% of my traffic to still go to this funnel, and I'm just going to use this as my editing one. I'm going to play around until I think I like it, and then I can come back in and shift all the traffic over to this one. So that's another kind of like use case for using this functionality here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. There's a couple things here that you can do, but there's this edit in page and edit in a new tab. Generally speaking, I like to edit in a new tab because it's going to open another page up. And if you ever need to go back, you have that other page that's still right there that you can get back to, but you have the one that's in edit mode that you are actively able to make changes to. Now, from this section, I'm going to just talk through some of the main things up here at the top, and then we'll start to play around with some of the elements inside the page itself. So starting off just left to right, we have our desktop mode, and then we have our mobile mode. So when you're clicking on these, this is going to show you exactly what it's going to look like on mobile and exactly what it's going to look like on desktop. Generally speaking, I like to mostly edit in mobile mode and then make adjustments in desktop mode. Just because, let's face it, majority of the people are going to be on mobile, so we want it to kind of look good there from the mobile version first. Now, so those are two things to kind of make note of there. And then from here we have settings. This is SEO stuff. So when we click on this is going to open up some general information. This is like name of your page or name of your business, whatever it is. Some sort of brief description of that, keywords, author. This stuff really, honestly, if you are just getting started, it's not going to be that. This is more for SEO purposes. Most funnels we're not necessarily super concerned about them being SEO optimized, as their only intention is like a specific result rather than being found and being optimized. But this is where you can come in, you can change your stuff, you can add an image. So this is what it would look like if somebody was to pull this up, and you can see this is just a duplicate from another page, and it's something different that we swapped out. So you can come in and change your stuff and play around with it. But once you do that, go ahead and update it here. And this is kind of pretty self-explanatory: title, description, keywords, whoever made it, and the image right here. It'll go right there. So you can set that up and you're good to go. Now, moving on down this list here, we have our settings. Then we're going to get to our tracking code, custom CSS, background, and typography. Tracking code, this is something for, again, this is going to be specific to probably some more advanced strategies, but a good use case in this is going to be like if you wanted to plug in pixel code, and you say, hey, when somebody gets to this stage of my funnel, I want you to fire off a Facebook pixel event that says, registered checkout or whatever it may be, lead or purchase, whatever event code that you want to use for that funnel stage, you can plug it in here. And when it gets to that level, it will fire off. And this is, you can have this is a whole other thing, but Pixel Helper is a good way to kind of keep track of that there. So Coming on down, custom CSS. This is probably, too much for this. Probably if you're coding, you probably don't need to be watching this video. Background. This is the background image for a whole page. You can upload it there. And then typography. This is, generally speaking, like your default fonts for the actual page itself. Now, moving along here, we have pop-up. This is if you're doing a pop-up and have elements in your page. This is a place where you can come and edit that. You also have the ability to modify and everything over here. This is general. This over here on this left-hand sidebar. Anytime you have one of these editing components, you're going to have the functionality of being able to adjust it over here on the left-hand side. Now, we will circle back to some of this. The undo and redo, those are, just general, hey, oops, messed up, don't want to do that, want to redo that. Then we have our preview, custom HTML right there. So that's just, what would it look like there, and you can edit. Again, that's probably some more coding stuff, and if you're following along with that, then you probably don't need to be watching this video to begin with. So, some more stuff here. We have sections. These are going to be, right here, like we'll just do full add section. So this is how we get into editing. We're going to drop in stuff. So sections are going to be, the whole, width of the funnel. Rows, and so these are your main elements so you can see there's section, there's a column, and this is a unit there. So these are all like basically building blocks of an actual funnel itself. So these are all kind of similar, but different in regards to the shape and format of building out a thing. And so I'll just real quickly, I want to do a full width one. I can drag it, drop it in here, and then that will allow me to build that out. A couple other things while we're here. You can save templates, save these sections. So when you do that, you have the capacity to have them here. And so this would be a good use case for this is like, hey, I have a bunch of like testimonies that I use on, all over, and I have this saved section that I use all over, and I want to use that. So you grab that and drop it in here, and it will plug in that saved section that you have that you can use in many different funnels directly right there. Now, a little bit further on, kind of down that thought process. So this is blank. This is your saved. And then we have global sections. Global sections are generally going to be like your footers of like websites, the top bar of your website. So this is something that if you change this, it changes it everywhere you have that global section. Now, it will give you a notification saying, hey, do you want to change this? Because it is a global section. It's going to change everywhere. So just something to keep in consideration. But these can be really, really helpful if you're like as building blocks. So you're like, hey, I have this like saved and built out. I just need to pop it in here, pop it in there, and you're good to go. Now, some of these other ones, they're pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be the different versions of everything that you built out. Preview, save, and then here's a quick navigation thing where like, hey, I want to go to this funnel step. So these are all funnel steps. So it's like, it's a, this type of a view layout right there, but it's up over here in this. Now, with that being said, we can kind of jump into some more functionality, which is going to be, there's a ton, almost an unlimited number of bells and whistles and knobs and widgets to fiddle with. So we'll dig in and we'll go over some core building block stuff to kind of give you a good conceptual understanding, and then you can kind of get a better idea of, once you jump in and play around, if that's what you want to do. All right. So I know I mentioned that I like to edit in mobile mode first, but for the sake of recording this video and your viewing pleasure, I'm going to do it on desktop mode just so it's easier to see and things are a little bit bigger. So I'm going to scroll through here and kind of give you an example. Again, we have our sections, we have our columns, and they're like color coded. Each one is going to have, move up, move down. Here's a little cog wheel. Here's where we'd save. So if you ever wanted to save for have that as like a universal section that you can use around, that's how we do that there. Over on the right hand side, this is kind of grab it and move it around type of a thing. This is a duplicate. You're like, hey, I like this, or I want to use this functionality here. So you can see how there's like this one and this one that are similar. You can use that to this little copy thing to clone something and move it. And then obviously you got your delete. So your sections, your elements there, your columns, and I'm going to go through and give you some just real basic kind of stuff here. So we have, let's say, we're up here, we're starting top to bottom. You want to add in something similar to this. You just go ahead and hit your plus on your orange. Now it's going to open up all this stuff that we have over here. Now there's headlines, subheadlines, paragraph, bullets, buttons, forms, blogs, video, image, frequently asked questions, special element codes. So this is like if you're bringing something else inside here. Surveys, calendars, map functionality, SVG, which is just images, reviews, countdowns, minute timer, day timer, navigation menu, divider, progress bar, image feature, and order, sales steps, and stuff like that. Now, for the sake of this training, each one of these things could probably, like the order elements, could probably be a whole separate video in and of itself, in addition to some of this other things. So I'm just going to go over some kind of like basic core functionalities, like a headline. So you want to grab this. Cool thing here, these are drag and drop. So when you come in, you drop it here, and I'm going to click in here. Now you're going to have type in, you have some functionality right there. You can adjust, you can link out to this stuff. So you have these bars, these main kind of navigation stuff over here. So you're like, hey, I want this to be my headline one. This is more for like SEO purposes, but and I want to bold this or unbold that. Or I want to italics, I want to strike through, underline. So you have some quick features right here in regards to the type of text that we have. And then obviously you have your hyperlinks. So if you want this to go somewhere else, you can link it right there. And that is just, you can open it in the same window or open a new window there. Now some of the stuff where we see, so we have your main elements when you click on add that you can pull from over here. Every time you pull something over here or you have something highlighted over here, it is going to have a section over here that's going to correspond with this as well. And there's going to be a lot of additional functionality over here in regards to the item that is highlighted currently. So with this headline right here, you can see coming over here, and I know that some of this stuff is in the way, but you have you can kind of read through. Opacity is I want it to be shaded, but here's some kind of just general stuff that makes sense. I want this text to align to the left or center or right. I want to adjust letter spacing. Normal. You have some ways to change that around. I want there to be shadow on this text. I want like really strong shadow, right? So it kind of pops when you're looking at it there. You can have a box around it. I want a 40% drop shadow box where it's like highlighting that stuff there. Now right here you have some spacing, and I apologize with this, with the timer, right, or the video control is going to kind of be right in front of there, but hopefully you get the idea. Let me see if I can adjust some of this here. Here we go. So we got padding. So this is, you can adjust this and it will, move, shift things left or right, padding right or left, move it around, padding top or bottom. So this is where you're adding extra space down below certain things, padding to the top. So hopefully you get the idea there. And padding and margin are kind of similar, but it's going to be like padding's like internally in the element, margins on top of the element, and same thing above and below. If you want to change the background color, you can do this here, and that's going to change for that whole section that we're currently on. And I think I changed. Let me go back to that element that we were looking at there. Some cool stuff here while we're on this section is going to be adjusting the font size. And this is going to be one of a situation where you can kind of jump in and kind of toy around and see how things look. So you have the ability, mobile font size and desktop font size. So you see how it looks here on desktop. You're like, so, actually I want this one to be, I want it to be big, really, really, really big. But want to pop over on mobile and see how it looks over there. You're like, yeah, I don't like how that looks here. There could be some more, it could be a little bit, spaced out, a little bit different, or I want it a little bit larger, or I want it a little bit smaller. This one, I actually just want it to fit perfectly, one line right there on desktop. So I want to have that set for desktop to that level there. And some of the things that's probably pretty common for headline type stuff is like, hey, I want to do this, and I just want this word bolded, and I want my bold to be white. So you can come over here and change the color of your word or the type of word. So this is just general. And then you have like your italics. So I want this action to be italicized there. So all of my italic words I want to be orange. And then all of my underlying text, I want this headline to be underlined. And I want all of my headline underline ones to be purple. And this is a gorgeous funnel shaping up here. So there you have it. There's some different just text functionality that you can play around with there. You would have the spacing stuff that we were talking about earlier, and some icons if you ever wanted to add in some cool like check marks or little functionality. You can do that in here. Clicking over to advanced, there's just a couple things here. Something to take into consideration that can be useful on this advanced section, and you'll see this on pretty much all of the elements, but it'll be like something where it's like, hey, I only want this to show up on desktop, or I only want this to show up on mobile. So let's say, for example, this headline, I only want this headline or this section to be on mobile, but not on desktop. So, then we click over on desktop and bada bing, bada boom, it's not there. It's not on the desktop view. But if we click back over to the mobile, it's going to show up on the mobile view. Now, there's a number of different reasons why you may want to do that. Sometimes things just don't look good formatting wise, or it's just too busy, and it's just not going to make sense. But it's a pretty cool functionality when you get deeper into your funnel building. So there we have it. You have there's this, and while we're here on the topic, you have this little pop out sidebar thing to kind of help get a better look. You can expand and contract. So there you go. There's some stuff that you could play around with in regards to just a general headline. Some other big kind of core functionality here is, like, let's say for buttons. Buttons are another big one on funnel pages. So we'll kind of play around here with a button real quick. Now, on this we have, there's general, themes, and advanced. You can change the main color of your button here. If you want to do some custom colors, you can do, pick from it here. So if you have specific brand colors that you know that you want to use, you can plug it in there and it will pull that in. Letter spacing, letter shadow, again, some of that same functionality that we talked about earlier. Mobile font size, desktop font size. So these are all obviously, as you're going through, you have the, join or free. You're like, oh, I want to make this super big on mobile, right? Join a free group, just right in your face. So you can do that there. On this particular thing, you have our joiner group. Now these buttons, you're not going to edit directly in there like you would with the headlines and stuff. You're actually going to edit in this sidebar over here. So you can see over here the text, join our free group. You would change this right here, join our free group. And then if you wanted to subtext, you can have that right there. So you have your main text and our subtext. Now, some big functionalities with the buttons, like buttons are action items, right? What do we want them to do if somebody clicks on them? And so there's, so here's our button action section. Do we want to open up a pop-up? Do we want to send them to an element? Do we want to, you want to scroll to something else? So this is like, this would be like a checkout page, or I want it to go to a calendar. Do I want it to just go to the next step of the funnel? Do I want to make it a phone call? So if somebody clicks on it, they just call me. Do I want it to make a text message where if they click on it, they text me, or an email? Or do I want to add a membership? So memberships are like your training modules or courses. So there's a lot of functionality in here. Generally speaking, like going to another website or going somewhere else. So for example, like what a lot of people will do is they will plug in their if you're a loan officer, will plug in your application page where it will pop up, we'll click on it, and it will go out to begin an application, so they can just start to fill out the application right there. Now, another element which can combine this is another common thing is to have like a pop-up. Now your pop-up is going to be what we'll see, kind of what we were touching on here. And you can pretty much do the same thing that you would in any part of the funnels in your pop-up. You do want to kind of take into consideration though the functionality of it, where it is within the confines of like the space that you have. If you're clicking on mobile, like you got to understand where it's going to pop up. You don't want it to be too big. You don't want it to be too bulky or too busy. Really it's just like plug in your information or book a call or do the checkout, whatever, limited in its scope. But you could have, you could even have, like, if you really wanted to, you could have like a little explainer video saying, hey, congratulations, here you go, next step, just kind of like get people over the edge there. So the functionality is going to be pretty similar to a lot of the other things, but I just want to kind of really touch on just the action items right there. So pop-up, website, hideout, go to a specific step, calls, emails, so a lot of good stuff. Generally speaking, I like to have it go to a new tab, just in case they decide that that's not what they want. They can always go back to the existing tab that they were on previously. And so going through some of the different other components here, we have themes, preset stuff where you can just come through, scroll through and be like, I like this one. So you don't have to like think about, changing colors, shapes, shadows, all that good stuff. But if you do want to get into that a little bit more and personally customize it, you have some functionality right here. So you got text transition, and so if you want it all uppercase, all lowercase, all capitalized, if you have, so this is kind of like your button shape. I want it to be like wide across the whole page, or just fluid to kind of fit in where it's going. Button effects, you can see this one right now, it's kind of moving, so this is a rocking loop. You can have it glow, bounce, elevate, wobble, no effect at all. So that's how you can adjust that right there. It's going to be on the advanced section. Button shadow, this kind of gives it that depth look as you're, if you want to play around with that. So that's kind of just, a lot of that's like just personal preference. For custom line, flat line, vertical spaces. A lot of this stuff is just kind of like adjusting to kind of like visual. Again, the visibility if you want it on desktop, mobile, not mobile, whatever. Then down here we have border. For this is, if you want to have an outline around it. So in this case we have a full border, and it is solid. Generally speaking, I kind of like the full border and solid, and the reason I do that is I keep it kind of short, but we can add in a border to kind of round out the edges of certain things. So you can kind of go down all the way down to like an oval. So this is where I really kind of the use case where I would use that. If you like the hard edges, then you can, just keep it at, you don't have to add a border, just leave it. But if you like the round type stuff, that's a good way to do it. And this is kind of like a preference, how you visually like, how you like it there. So that's going to be it for the button settings. And now I'm going to move on to some other stuff here that we can kind of play around with. All right, so the next thing I'm going to jump into, kind of like a dual thing. I'll touch very briefly on images, but I want to jump into kind of hit on videos, because that's another kind of common thing common but similar. So in here we have image. Now, a lot of the same functionality that we've been talking about. But we have the ability to have actions on this. So if somebody clicks on this, what do we want to do with it? You want to send a pop-up? You want to go to a URL? We don't want anything to happen to it. Having some sort of functionality on it is generally pretty good in terms of like conversion, but you don't have to have it do anything. If you want to upload an image or to add an image, let me click on here, and so with the blank space, it's going to look like that. And then you come over here on the left hand side, and you're going to click here, and it is going to give you this is your media area. There's stuff that you can pull from here if you want to search. Here's shoes, all. So you can pull directly from stuff, and these are all royalty free stuff. So I'll just click on this for right now. So it's going to go boom right there, and you're good to go. Now you can adjust the size here with some functionality there, and then also for you can put in some text for SEO. So that's something that is new, which is awesome. Now. Following along this thought process, but we're saying, hey, I want to go, and let me back out over here. So a good kind of use case for a lot of funnels that we'll do is a video sales letter, and that's where we have like a very simple opt-in page right here, and the next page literally just like a video and then a call to action, like a button, like book a call or buy this widget, whatever it is, right? So in that situation, or when we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and open this one in editor. Actually, it's already open right here. So we are going to do the image or the video, and the video is going to have the same type of component where we can pull in from. We have to have a media source. So over here, where is our video at? Now this one is obviously these are if you have your stuff in YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia. So those are common video hosting things that you can use. Something that's really pretty awesome right here is going to be a hosted video. So you can select from any videos. I'm not sure if I have any in this one, but so this functionality is pretty cool because it will allow you to do other things internally in the platform. So you can say, like, if somebody watches 50% of this video, send them a text message, send them an email, add them to a separate drip campaign, right? So there's some really, really, really cool functionality with the hosted video. If you're tried and true diehard like YouTube, you want everything to be on YouTube, and that's what you use, you can pick YouTube and then just plug in your URL. And then you have your autoplay and controls. Like, do you want to hide the controls, show the controls? But all that stuff's right there. And pretty basic though on that. And then with like YouTube and Vimeo and Wistia, obviously they have their whole back end that you can control and all the functionality that they have over there on that stuff. So video obviously is a big one for a lot of folks. Now, coming through just some other things that might be fun and cool to play around with while we're... All right. So, just kind of clicking through some of the stuff that's already in here to kind of give you some more ideas to kind of play around with. Right here, it's like step 2, book a call. So in the context of this actual funnel, this is a Facebook group, like a nurturing to a live weekly webinar where we want people to plug in and just grab, a time on this week's upcoming webinar. Over here, you can, right here, if you have, I'll just kind of give you an idea, grab the element from over here, and this one is a calendar. Bam. So you drop that in, and then you can select your calendar that you want to plug in right there, and this is what it would look like right here. Now you have your functionality. What do you want to happen after somebody completes the calendar? You want them to go to a specific website or a URL? Do you want to have them just go to the next step, or do you want to do them? Generally speaking, the action from the calendar is just going to be like, just like a thank you page where it's like, add this to your Google or Google Calendar or whatever it may be. Now, let's see, what are some other cool things that we can take a peek at here that would be high value. Obviously play around, but there is, creating checklist, paragraph button, so you get the idea. You can plug in whatever you want there. Again, functionality, you can change all the stuff over here. Some other things that may be useful or kind of cool to play around with is like your countdown timers. This is where you have like, at this time, the cart closes, or we have a sale, or maybe, in the context of this, it's like where, you're having like an open house or something if you're running a campaign for that, and it's going to happen on this specific time where you're reminding people. Now that might be a little bit too much for a specific thing, but hopefully you get the idea. Over here, you're going to have the functionality of like when you want that to end. I want it to end at the end of the month on the 28th, and you have your time, all that good stuff, and I want it to be on, you know, Denver time. So there you go. And then obviously got this. Cool stuff down here is like when this timer expires, what do you want to happen? You're like, oh, we're all sold out. You want them to go to a different page. You want to give them a specific message where it shows, you know, it's, you know, the cart closes, or the calendar is no longer there. Oh, sorry, you missed it. You know, you still want to hide this element. You know, the calendar is no longer available to book. So that's some things that you could do to play around with that there. Let's see. We got a progress bar. These are always kind of fun. So a part of, a lot of times there's this like psychology component to a funnel where people have this innate desire to like finish what they start, or, you know, they're like, oh, I'm almost there type of a thing. So you know what I'm talking about, where you've seen those things where it's like, you know, they're moving, you know, over time. You have, so here's kind of an example of some different progress bars. Like you have the animated one, so there's these themes. I want this one to like be like it's moving, and I want this one to be 90%. We're almost there. We're right next to, you know, have one just a little bit left. You can change the image, so you have a lot of the same functionality that we would have in some of the other components there. But this is where we would have, you could type in what you want it to say. Let's go 10% left. So you get the idea there. You can change your color, whatever you want it to be. You have two colors there actually. And yeah, so those are kind of fun. Change colors, kind of like these. I've always generally kind of like the animated ones. I feel like it adds a little bit more to some of this stuff. And let's see, reviews. That's always cool. You can pull in your customer testimonials. So on the review and reputation section, you can have all of that good stuff there. Maps, if you're driving actual physical location, or if you have, you know, an office space where hey, we're having a lunch and learn here at this spot. It's something that you have like a reoccurring event. You wanted to plug in a map, you could do that there. Your surveys, your forms, all of that good stuff. You know, this is a form we're going to go ahead and pick. You know, this is our first time home buyer form. That one's actually, oops, where'd that go? Form. And it pulls in a form. So hopefully that makes sense there. And anything else we can add to this while we're here? I'm not going to get into purchase element stuff because that's kind of a whole nother thing. But play around. A big part of this is really just trying stuff out and playing around a little bit. And so you have obviously your save. We want to make sure that we're saving our stuff as we're building along, just so we don't lose any work that we're on. It'll pretty good. I mean, it has a versions section, so that's always good. But you can see here we have our original, you know, and then the one that we played around with. And you know what? I'm sorry, but like this big bold headline and stuff, you know, we're splitting traffic. It didn't work out. You know, all the changes that we made to that one didn't work out so well. I'm going to go ahead and declare this one the winner. And vamos, it's gone. So when you pick a new winner, you run your stats and you say, hey, this one's the winner. It's going to go away. Actually, we want to do all the traffic there. Apply. Okay, and we're going to declare this the winner. And we are back to a blank slate there. So Hopefully that's helpful. I think that we pretty much hit all of the main stuff on this. Let's see if there's anything else we left off. Publishing and products, those are going to be sales stuff again. Or you can change the funnel stage like name over here. You can also do it from the cog wheel as well, right there. So you can change the name. So if you ever want to change that, you can do that there. Awesome, guys. At any point in time, you can pop this out and check it out there, or share the link, which it will go out. So if you want to, get that out into the public, you can. So if you have any questions whatsoever, need help with things, you want, if you're a client, reach out to the team. If you are inquiring about this, you can jump on a live demo, or go ahead and get started on some of our trials, or sample some of our stuff out there. So hopefully that was helpful, and let us know if you have any questions.